Yo, what's going on, everybody? My name is Will Curran, and I am an absolute nerd. I love the outdoors, and for a living, I get to create amazing events. I wanted to create this video because this is the video I wish I had when I was going through this entire project of installing the Overland Ruff Rax, installing lights, all that fun stuff like that. I piecemealed a lot of stuff from the internet, had a lot of help from my good friend Lee as well, who did a ton of research, and also our good friend John, who also did this before to help us figure out how to wire it all up. Before I get jumping into it, that if you really want to see the build and how it all comes together, just go right to the end of the video. There's a walkthrough where I walk through it. But if you're really looking for the nitty gritty, where do you run the wires? What's it like going through the firewall? Where does the Garmin Powerswitch go? How do you take the seats out of the Rivian? This video is going to be for you. Some things to kind of know is that even though I got this dope hat for buying an awesome Overland Ruff Rax, I actually paid for this entire rack with my own dollars. I'm so grateful that Sam actually came out to help me out with the actual final stages of the build, which you'll hear about a little bit later. But literally, I paid for this all with my own money. I'm not sponsored by anybody in any sort of way. Maybe in the future, that'd be dope, but we'll see how it is. But I hope you guys enjoy this video. This is, again, the video I wish existed. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments down below. And I'll look forward to hopefully helping some people out there if you're looking to modify your Rivian and add roof racks and lights and all that fun stuff. So, without any further ado, here we go. Let's jump right on in.
All right, so I got like all laid out for the roof rack. I think the bed rack is going to have to be installed on Sunday when Lee gets here, just because we have to take the tent off and everything. So I'm gonna try to maybe take my crack at setting up this rooftop rack.
Look who is wading into the trash bag. Say hi, Wally.
So Sam has told me that anyone can set this up. This is my first ever roof rack build, so we'll see if I can figure it out, and I know how to do everything. So far I got the two first steps done. I got these side panels. I'll just finger tight so far. I'm gonna come back and tighten, I think, everything once it's all 100% done. But so far, pretty easy. I'm just been, following the instructions. The only one that's different than what's on the website is that it kind of jumps in immediately and says like, hey, you need to use like 8 of these, side panel things, but for the R1T, there's only 4 of them, and they come in a bag that says R1T on it, so it's pretty easy to know. And then you just have to, this step's missing, but you have to attach this kind of connection piece that connects the 2 pieces of a roof rack. All right, so here's the next fun part, which is taking actual like cross member bars and attaching 3 screws on either side, and it'll start to look like a roof rack, I think. Okay, so I got these crossbars on. This was honestly the easiest thing to do. What I would recommend that you do is that you get your drill and get the exact bit type that they recommend in the instructions. And, you just set it on a low torque value, and then it basically just screwed it on in. And it's starting to come together. One suggestion for anybody who's like me and doesn't have like a massive workshop or anything like that is take 2 tables that are the exact same height, and you can spread them across when you're building it, so which kind of gets you away from having to need a massive table. All right, so I got all the crossbars. That was super easy with the drill bit. I tightened up all the nuts and bolts too across everything. So I haven't looked at the instructions, but I'm gonna guess the next part is installing the fascia, and for me to figure out whether I'm gonna install the light bar now or later. Okay, so there isn't any instructions you think for this, for if you do the light bar. Maybe I see a message Sam and get the instructions, so I'm just trying to figure it out on my own. But I basically took that curved piece and attached it into the front. And I'm hoping it's pretty centered on here, but you will see. And then the next thing that isn't in the instructions, trying to figure out, how does this attach into? So it's like playing Legos, figuring it out without instructions. So a step missing from the manual is to take this gold plate and attach 2 screws. It has 3 holes, and you think that maybe they need to line up, you're doing something wrong. I think this is correct though. So I think the next step is to take this and attach it onto here. Let's find out. Okay, so I think I figured this out now. So first thing, make sure that you put this in the right direction. It's really easy to get them backwards, but I've made it where the smaller end is on the bottom. That should fit that nice curved T-bar in there. And then make sure to attach the light bracket if you're installing a light bracket first. Pro tip is just slide the T-nuts in when you're working on this stage. I've had to undo this twice now to put the T-nuts actually in ahead of time. So make sure that you do that. And so the next thing I think is to take this bad boy, attach it up on here, and attach the angled light bracket to it. And then the hope is then that will be what's next to install. Okay, so I think I got this all good to go. All of them are like kind of finger tight on here really quick. It helped to have someone else kind of helping align the bolts while I also align the bolts too on both sides, just because it's very, very tight fit. So you want to make sure that, yeah, getting it all done. So I'm going to try, I think I'm just going to push these off to the side and hope they're in the right position, in the right width, and then screw down. Maybe I'll just start with like screwing these down and see if, and then obviously getting these screws in here too. So I got most of the base rack built. It's all tightened down. I have these still set to loose, so I can move around as needed, and I think all that should be left is attaching the light bar. So I flipped it over to make it a little bit easier to access these brackets, and I'm gonna try seeing if I can attach this, and we'll see if I can get it done by myself. Don't be a dummy like me and put the brackets in, fold side in. They need to be on the other side, so let me put these. Right, so I got these silver bolts attached to the bracket, and then now I'm tightening down the bracket to the T-bars on each end, and then it gets done at that point. So just have to take it and go through it on the trunk. All right, so this is pretty much all built out, and I said I was gonna go onto the roof next, but I forgot that I had these bad boys left to install. I also have all of the ditch lights, not ditch lights, but rock lights to install still, which I'm missing the angled brackets. I still might run and install these and then just make sure that I can reattach them. Oh, these turned out dope. I was kind of hoping to get them in yellow, but they don't make them in yellow, unfortunately, so maybe yellow soon, but they're looking mighty beefy. All right, so all the lights are attached and handlebars attached, and now I'm gonna wire up the wiring harness. I have bought an absolute butt ton of different electrical hookups and things like that to make sure I have the right stuff, because this is my first time ever doing this. So yeah, I think the goal of this is that the wiring harness comes with these beautiful connectors on here, so we want to make sure that just try to wire them up, and then basically I have little crimp connection tools go between the wires. So I think I'm just gonna give that a try and see how well this works. All right, so I got the first 4 wires attached to the harness pieces. Each one I learned something new and came up with a better idea. So this is the first one I did. I was dumb though, and I didn't put any heat shrink over the entire thing. This outer one was kind of like broken, so I heat shrinked that one, but I was dumb because the red wire was the first one I did, and I was not really thinking this through 100%. So what I learned is basically take the cable, twist the cable together, so slide these, you know, crimping thingy-mabobbers, I'll link down below what they are, slide them all on to the ends, you know, twist tie the cables together, slide these down, crimp them, and then also have a heat shrink to go over this, and then each individual wire is heat shrinked. And then what I learned is to heat shrink the entire thing together just to clean it up a little bit so you don't have any exposed wires or anything. So, you know, start figuring it out. By the 4th wire, I got it finally perfect and figured out how to do it properly. So don't make the same mistakes as me. Don't get excited and start, you know, crimping things on. Make sure that you heat shrink each individual wire and then also heat shrink the entire bundle together. and that should help clean it up. All right, before I continue, it's time to finally get these brackets installed. So hopping up the ladder, and we're gonna get these put on in here and figure this piece out. So, just like all the videos online show, basically they slide right on in there very, very easily. I'm assuming those washers better. And basically, each piece just kind of pulls in. I found it a bit easy to kind of take it from both sides at the same time, and they kind of place in there, and it should be good to go. So I'm gonna settle all these, so then that way, once the rack is all done, you will throw it on up here. Hi, Lizzie. You helping out? All right. Dell's doing a killer job on the wiring so far. All right. We're almost there. All right. Just so everyone knows, the washers need to go in, and then you'll put obviously both washers down. Not just one single one. Then you'll put the plate down. Then the rack goes on top of this, and then this is gonna go on in through the rack, into this plate, in through the washer, and into the port adapter. And then we'll screw that down, and then that's gonna be what attaches the rack. Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna necessarily get video of us putting it up here, but putting a moving blanket down to protect the glass, and let's hope this is pretty easy for two people. All right, it's all wired up and nicely done. Nice job, Della. And now we gotta lift it up from here, up there. So wish us luck. All right, got it up there on top of the moving blanket. Actually, wasn't that heavy?
It was heavy.
It was heavy for Della.
I don't work out.
So
He was getting so good.
so that now we're just gonna pull up the moving blanket, and hopefully it lines up perfectly with the DCE adapters. So I'm taking the washers. I got the washers in place. Now I'm lining up the bracket and the plate in the hopes that I can screw this in without messing this up too much. This is hard. Okay.
Do you want me to hold it up?
A little bit more difficult than I thought it would be. So Della is much better at this than me. So she's been attaching the DCE bolts
Little fingers.
on in. So little fingers helps on this one. And so she's been doing an epic job.
How was it? It was heavy. One, so it's like really lined up. She says as it's.
All right, so the roof rack is pretty much done. It's all wired up. I just haven't wired, obviously, to any electrical yet. But this is going to be due for now. Going to take a break for 2 days or so. And on Sunday, Lee's going to come over. We'll build the bed rack, wire that up, and then also document all the wiring, how to get it all hooked up to the 12-volt system, get the Garmin Powerswitch hooked up, and all that fun stuff. But for now, this will do. So next time I see you will be Sunday. And by the way, I'm joined with some lovely guests. John in the house, Mr. Lee as well, who are helping out. Lee's got the green R1T. John's got the badass yellow R1T. Today is finish everything else.
No, it's not in the Rivian line building.
You break it, you buy it.
Yeah. He did another one anyway.
So you just took out the plastic piece right behind the seat, essentially?
Yeah, these up were.
Basically, there's bolts down here. And we're going to take all these bolts off, including the one behind the headrest.
So to be clear, it's just these two, and then these two clips, this clip and this clip is the one that needs to come out, right?
Yeah. This bolt, this nut comes off, that nut comes off. And I think it's just this guy right here.
Oh, that comes off too? Okay.
Let's give it a try.
And so I came out
This is
down, yeah, and there was plenty of room. There's a big hole all the way over there.
This is what it looks like with the seats off.
You know, there's another grommet over here. You could,
You know what? I saw Reno Live had a bunch of different videos, and I saw the one about just. So actually,
so
that's a big fat wire
ripped
going
all
back
this.
there.
Rip all this up. Take the filter holder out. And got a lot more room to play.
That's a big fat.
So we've decided to take the entire tub out. So lift this up, bolts right there.
Speaker
And
flashlight. I still use, you know.
It's gotten ducks take fun. It's I think to be separated.
all right, tub is out. Whoa. All right, so we just pulled this piece up, and then these clips just have to come out.
Yep. So he's rotating for John.
Yeah, but I can't do it.
Then they just come off. Rotate them, they come off really easy. So we couldn't get through the firewall hole, so we just pulled the grommet out and put the thick trailer wire through. We're gonna figure that out later.
Oh, hold on.
So we got this 7-wire trailer wire shoved all the way back here. Then this will be what runs all the power to the power switch.
And it's,
So John's been master blasting over here, working on the 12-volt for the power switch. It's all color-coded, heat shrink, looking beautiful. Next is he's gonna work on mounting that and all that fun stuff. Also, on the other end, I have this 7-wire trailer wire. I basically connected all the hots to all the different colors. The ground all gets placed into one single black wire, which ran all the way to the front. And then now we have all these handy disconnects, which makes it quick to get it off. And Lee's over here working on the rack, making good work. We're working on getting the Fed rack on, same as the roof rack with the DCE mounts. And then we're gonna take these crossbars and throw them on up. See if I can do this one-handed. That's a bad idea. Yeah, and basically line that up and screw that down. So Lee informed me that this one's slightly different. The plate goes on top of the bed rack instead of on the bottom like the roof rack. All right, we got these all Loctited in, and now we are getting the antlers on and looking pretty good. Lee's done this once or twice. John and I are attaching all bolts. John, how many bolts do you think are in the back?
7,000 bolts.
There's a lot of bolts.
It's like a master Lego.
There, if you can get to that back bar, next to the
What
front
if I zip tie that right there? You get like that?
Yep, right to that. Okay. Here, let me.
Getting all the wires for just the light bar.
And we'll have enough to hit the wire right.
So we pretty much got everything done in the truck. The only thing you'll see that's kind of missing is that, let's see if I get to focus, is all the wires kind of need to be cleaned up out of that one little hole. And then I'm missing a wire harness that I need to set up to wire up all the bed rack as well. So once I get that wire harness in, we will be looking good to go, but we pretty much put everything back to where it needs to be. Garmin Powerswitch is all hooked up. And then the last thing that I'm still figuring out I could do without them is setting up all of the light bar stuff. So that's gonna be a fun little project, but pretty much looking pretty good. So yeah, honestly, between 3 people, one which had experience, John had a ton of experience with us, and Lee and I being able to help. Pretty easy-ish project. You know, started at about 9:30 in the morning. It's about 4:18 now. So looking pretty good. I think so. We're working on, we just got some indoor-outdoor carpet squares and putting them down on the bottom of the tent to make it a little bit insulated from when it's cold. And Leslie seems to like it a lot.
I think
All right, so this is the part of the project that I just did by myself because we didn't finish it up on whatever day that was. but I had to wire the actual light bar. So the first thing that I did, it's definitely a Raven here, is that I wired up the actual light bar, used this Casey lights wire hider to go all the way to the top. But the thing I didn't realize is that it needs a electrical signal to fire on the controller to tell it that it has power. So one thing to keep in mind is even though it has power, you still have to run one little, wire basically from the main control unit all the way. And technically it's supposed to tie into an ignition source, but for Rivian, there is no ignition source, air quotes. So what I ended up doing is running it all the way back to the battery, and it's this little controller is just gonna constantly have power. But yeah, check this out. It's working and it's bright. It's really, really bright. That's Dell's reaction for the first time. All right, so let's keep this off. All right, so right now it's only got the backlight, which you can turn on and off. And then we're gonna turn it on. So that's wide. And then you can narrow the beam down to a spotlight, which you can kind of see in the video. Wide. I mean, it's getting like the sides of like the garage. And then, yeah. Of course, I can't figure it out now. There we go. In the spot. So then the idea is with the GPS is as the truck starts to move faster, it goes into a narrow beam to have you see further. And then when you're going slower, it goes wide so you can see around you. Which is pretty good. What you think, Della?
I like it. Approve.
All right, so it's Saturday right now, and there's something I haven't told you guys about quite yet. The whole reason I've been doing this build and excitement and kind of feeling the rush to get it done at the last minute is that tomorrow we're going to be showing it off to the Arizona Rivian Club, which I'm super stoked for everyone to see. And so what's cool is that Sam from Overland Ruff Rax, I can't talk this morning, is actually coming into Phoenix just for the event and to help finish up some last minute tweaks to the setup as well. So in a little bit, he's driving all the way from LA all the way here to Phoenix just for our event. So super duper excited to finally meet him in person. And yeah, it's going to be pretty dope as well. So talk about some amazing customer service where the owner of the company is coming all the way out to make sure your build is all good. So here's the waterproof box. It took me forever to find one that fit inside the rack, but it has these 4 pieces that come out. And then if I can even figure out how to open it, it just goes like this. There it goes. And so now you can put all your connectors and stuff like that and still have access to them. And it holds the wires in here. It was a little tight of a fit for how many I did, but it's a waterproof box. Worked real good. So we're attaching the tent to the rack using these handy little adapters that Sam has made on here, and Tyler's helping out and attaching things. Thank you, Tyler, for the help. Anytime. All right, so we are on our way over to the coffee shop parking lot where we're hosting our Rivian Club event. Sam is trailing us right now. Yeah, there's gonna be a ton of Rivians, awesome owners, and get to show off the final build. Reveal to you.
By and large, that's what we're here for. We're really, selling is one thing, but answering is another. We want to talk about what it is you want. There's a lot of products that are out there. Depending on what you're going to run, if you're on 7, whatever, and if you have to run the signal wire for the switchboard.
So we just got done with the Arizona Rivian Club event, and everyone's left and everyone's gone, but we have a R1T that is still here. Did anyone forget?
Anyone missing?
Anyone missing their R1T? I don't think it's gonna fit.
We need like 4 inches.
I know.
All right, so we're back from the Arizona Rivian Club event, and things were a little crazy busy, so I didn't have time to do a full walkthrough of everything that's done. So I figured you all would want to see what we've done, and for good inspiration, and I wish I had this video when I was deciding to do all these things. So this is the whole build. It's all completely done and wired. So what you do know, all the racks, Overland Ruff Rax, this is the roof rack. We have a Rigid Industries Adapt 40-inch light bar with the RGB backlight. And essentially, I'll go through everything we have, and then I'll walk you through how we wired it all, since that seemed to be the #1 question we had at the event. And then in the back, we have the Overland Ruff Rax bed rack. Note of accessories that we have on here is the Agency 6 grab handlebars, which are awesome in red. We also have all the Overland Ruff Rax lights, rock lights in amber on here as well. And then all the rock lights are wired up using the Overland Ruff Rax harness that Sam made. And so that's all wired up perfectly for each of these racks. And then I'll show you exactly how we have it all wired. On the back, we have the iCamper SkyCamp Mini 3. This was our first time at the event actually opening it up since we got it up here. And actually, I think it's pretty good. I think we like the height and where it's at. It's a lot taller, but no big deal at all. I think one of the side benefits is that now we'll be able to use the bars on that to actually hold up the window shade for the rainfly. And yeah, and so we're gonna be getting some accessories on here and fun stuff like that, but the Molly panels are great. So let's talk through how we have this all wired and all that fun jazz, shall we? So, pop in the front, obviously, if it wants to unlock, which it doesn't because I think it's locked right now, but in the front, we have the Garmin Powerswitch that is hooked up directly into the battery. Before I even go into the Garmin Powerswitch, we decided not to run the Rigid Industries light bar onto the Garmin Powerswitch. It is directly wired in. And the way that's wired in is I used a KC wire hider, which you can find this everywhere. And it basically hides the wire. Most people said they didn't even notice this here, which makes me feel happy because I was worried that it would look meh. And people said it looks really good. It keeps the wire nice and taut in here and keeps the wind noise to a minimum. That wire, so this is wired directly in. And then we followed all the instructions for the Rigid Industries, which was super easy to follow, hooked it directly up into the battery. And then when I talk through the footwell and everything like that, that's where we have the controller come in for everything. So, Garmin Powerswitch questions. So we have the Garmin Powerswitch hooked directly up to the battery. Very, very easy to do. All you have to do is pop out the piece of plastic that's on here. We took the whole tub out because we wanted to mount the Garmin Powerswitch in a weird location, and we were thinking through that. So, plus, I think John and Lee were like, why not? Let's take the tub out. But we ended up taking the tub out. I don't think you have to do that to do this process. We hooked it directly into the battery, and then off of that Garmin Powerswitch, we have as the FedEx truck goes by, also wondering if that's for us, does anyone else do that? Anyways, we have a go off of a trailer, what's called trailer wire, trailer 7 wire. It's usually designed to go all 7 pins for a trailer. So we ran that, and it has, I think, 12 or 14 gauge wire in it. And all 7 wires go all the way back to the truck, which I'll walk through that path in just a second. It's important to know that you might think to yourself, Garmin only has 6 wires. We used the black wire as a neutral and ground, and we had that hooked directly into the ground neutral of the ground of the battery. So that makes it so all the grounds for all the rock lights and everything like that was able to go directly into there. So the path in which we ran the cables, pop the plastic off, that gets you to the battery and all that fun stuff. Then there's right here around this area, there is a firewall insert. It's like a rubber, has these tubes looking out. You can find tons of information about that online. Shout out to Matt Watts, who had a lot of detailed stuff about the firewall and was probably one of the first people to do it. We have the 7 wire go through there, and then right below the footwell in the passenger side, right by your feet, there's one piece of plastic, just comes right off, and all the wires come easily through there. From there, we run it along the side, and then we have it go all around the edges down at the bottom of the right side, the passenger side of the truck. Right, Lizzie? So then from there, we took the back seats off of the truck, and you literally do that by removing the headrests off the truck, and then there's bolts behind each headrest, and then there's bolts along the bottom. It's very easy. All the plastic comes off very, very easily. Once you do that, all the way on the other side of the truck. So we ran the wire along the back seat, and then comes over here, back seat's off. There's one little hole that is behind the back seat. That leads to this piece of plastic. This piece of plastic comes off very, very easily. I highly recommend doing this before you put the bed rack on, but this piece comes up really, really easily. This snaps off, and then you have easy access to that hole to run wires. And you can see all 7 of our wires come out here flat. And instead of drilling anything, I decided just to lay all the cables flat on here, and including the radio antenna cable as well. And it is pretty easy to get that through there. I think this is the most nerve-wracking part for most people because you know, you're worried, do you have to drill a hole? Is this gonna be hard to do? Very easy to get this hole on. And then honestly, once we get the bed rack on, I just had to lift this piece of plastic on and kind of slide it in. I will say it's not exactly perfectly back on here. It's a little loose, but nothing, I don't think anyone will ever notice it except for you. And then, yeah, then I have all 7 wires come off of here. I terminated them all as connectors, so they're easy to disconnect and everything like that. And I used some magnet ties to hold it all in here inside the metal rack. I got a little waterproof box that I will probably show eventually that will hold all these wires and make it look even cleaner. But from there, I have one set of wire, hot wire and ground wire go up to the roof rack to do all the roof rack lights. And then I have another harness that hooks up for all the bed rack lights on here as well. And then now I also have plenty of connectors for Starlink. We're gonna do some bed lights, tons of different possibilities. But the good news is I basically 6 different 12 gauge wires, just 14 gauge wires, one of the 2 back here that I can wire things up on the Garmin Powerswitch. That's, you know, it basically. That's basically what took. People will probably ask, how much time did this take? Honestly, each rack, so with Lee and John and I, we probably did this in like 30 minutes with us handing bolts and things like that. So if it's just you know, I think you can probably do it in an hour. Probably a roof rack, maybe an hour or so. The wiring piece took a little longer, maybe about an hour, because we had, you know, John really helped a ton in being able to figure this out, but Lee and I had no idea what we were doing. So we're asking questions, figuring things out. But I bet you if you followed my video or you had someone who knew what they were doing, maybe an hour there, and then maybe 1 more hour just like tightening up, getting clips to zip tie everything and cleaning it all up together. So, you know, maybe looking at whatever that is in math, 1, 2, 3, 4 hours, 5 hours or so total of work. And then, yeah, then the rest is just how perfectionist you want to get with things. But it was so easy to do. I've never done any of this before. I don't know if I said that at the beginning of the video, but never done anything like this before. And I feel like it turned out really, really good. I'm really, really happy with it. And, you know, just super stoked. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this content. This is the video I hope existed on the internet when I was doing all this. So hopefully it's helpful. Comment if you have any questions, and happy to help, guys. Have a great day.